This piece is Stockton Red Shoes for Owen Lim. And the idea for this whole series, I was sitting on it for probably 28 years because this is the very first school shooting that I ever heard about. And I remember turning the news on and them talking about a man sitting in his van waiting for recess, and he opened fire on all these kids out on the playground. And as the painting talks about, this teacher was called to go outside and identify children, and she had made a connection with one of her students by talking about her Christmas shoes and that they both loved red shoes. And as she was walking around the playground, she was so disoriented and really couldn't identify these kids. But when she came upon her little body with some red shoes, she knew that that was Owen Lim. And so that story had stuck with me forever. And Columbine came along, a decade later, and this painting is Peekaboo, Columbine. And I kind of, rather than talk about the shooters or victims specifically, I wanted to just symbolically use the flower, how fragile it is, how beautiful, and just how easily it can sort of be trampled on. And there's a flower for each of the 13 victims that were shot that day. And the text that I used here, obviously these shooters weren't healthy individuals, but they had such a cavalier approach to this, going around the library and asking kids if they believed in God, and randomly choosing victims. And they made their second pass, and just the disparity between the two dialogues. This girl is frantically praying for her life, and he looks under the table and says peekaboo and shoots her. So I even wanted the letters, I placed the letters sort of underneath the flower so that they're hard to see and you kind of discover them the same way that kind of peekaboo would be. And then this one, I have a few paintings that have diverted from the school shooting just because daily there's something in the news, and I couldn't not address the Pulse nightclub shooting. This painting is called Pulse Nightclub Massacre, and pretty straightforward. But I wanted to represent, instead of having the target be the central focus, I really wanted to suggest all that I saw coming from the tragedy. I was out of the country. I was in the Philippines reading the stories, and very little coverage. But when I got back and started my research, there was so much love and support from the community. And so I wanted that to be the focus. So that's why I represented the flag in the center with kind of the ripple effects of this violence through the country. And then the target is off to the side, just focused on Orlando. And I decided that the backdrop of the Florida sunset sort of, for me, symbolized or suggested just those lives that were cut short.